Right, guys. Thank you as always for joining us. If you are new to our channel and want to sign up for more of these market open videos, we do them throughout the week in the morning at 8 or 8 o'clock for the European Open, and again throughout the week in the afternoon from 2:20. So the details of how to sign up to get more of these is in the description below. Right, that's that out of the way. Let's talk about these markets. Right, we're getting some real ferocity across different asset classes at the moment. Let's talk about oil. Right, this is the one that's in vogue. If you're watching any or reading any financial news at the moment, oil is the one in play. So seeing highs for the year. I mean, we took them out quite aggressively at the start of September, and the rally has really kind of got a new wave of strength as of the last week, and we are just having green day after green day after green day this week, seeing another strong push on the oil open. For those of you who aren't aware, oil opens or NYMEX oil opens at 2 o'clock. This is why you normally get a bit of a spike in volume. Having said that, we've got some extra volume in at 2:10. Maybe that shows there's been a little bit of selling coming through. Might be some trap buyers in there, given how much volume was in there. That looks quite an interesting one. We have a look at the footprint and see if cipher in the last few minutes in the oil contract. Bear with me. Give that a little time to warm up. Oh, here we go. So yeah, there's quite a lot of volume done in this time. We have seen a lot of buying done, but that to the time print, was that the time we got this high? 10. So yeah, I think the time is slightly misaligned. I need to get that right. This looks like the high here. We're seeing some pretty interesting volume traded around here. It's all done up there, but we did end up seeing the market reject that quite aggressively, and the volume was even well, two bits of volume, 6,000 contracts followed by 4,000. That's an aggressive kind of engulfing candle out of there. Maybe some trapped buyers in here, given the pushback that we've had, maybe forcing a few of those out at the moment. But this story on oil is an interesting one. We've had strategic petroleum reserves in the US were tapped into when we had the spike up in March of last year after the war in the Ukraine kicked off. We obviously had cuts to oil supplies, and the US have the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, that allows the president to throw more oil into the market to bring prices down, or just, if it's used for military purposes, to begin and provide fuel for the tanks and aircraft carriers that will be needed in the event of a war. This wasn't quite war levels, but there was a supply shock, which is why they decided to drain the SPR down a little bit, and that ultimately suppressed prices. Right, with this excess supply coming out of the US, we've seen oil in quite a downtrend really until this summer, and then we did see a bit of a rally in the summer. We often get some increase in oil prices during the summer driving season in the US, so that initial rally was not unexpected. But this bit since, this isn't kind of peak driving season anymore, right? People are back to school, back to work over there, yet this momentum continues. Now, the president's allowed to take oil out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserves, but he isn't allowed to replenish it without the say-so of Congress. So I don't think this is them buying back at this level. I mean, that was a hell of a short, effectively, that they took last year, but I don't think they've bought it back. It certainly hasn't been done in the normal channels. If they have suggested that, no buybacks from Congress. Otherwise, spending of money. We're already talking about debt ceiling issues coming around again pretty imminently, I'm sure. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind with oil. But in the meantime, the trend is your friend, right? This is pushing up nicely. What levels do we have our eye on? Well, we have what was the point of control from last year, trading around this sort of level, where we're trading slightly above that now, 91.89 on the futures contract. If we do manage to kind of crack through here, the volume kind of dips down quite nicely. Wouldn't be surprised to see it nip up towards that 96 level. I know a lot of people are talking about the round number $100 pricing. I think if we get anywhere near it, we'd probably see about $103, to be honest, because there was quite a lot of volume traded around here last year. So I think the market makers will be interested to see how the market would respond were we to get another $10 higher than where we are now. But yeah, very interesting market to trade if you like trading momentum. There certainly is a little bit of momentum. Okay. If we kind of look at that price from that point of control from last year, where are we? About 91, 91-ish. I kind of zoom into the lows that we just had. We're not far off having come back and tested that. But we have tested it. 91 was here. So we just, after the open, gone back, tested that liquidity. This would therefore be its opportunity again, if it indeed wanted to. So that's a little bit on the oil market. So there's some nice moves in a few markets today, which we went through this morning, the FTSE and the gold. But yeah, let's talk about some of the data we've had. Canadian dollar moved on the CPI figures. It wasn't the cleanest move you'll ever see. It kind of looks like a sell the rumor, buy the facts on the dollar CAD here. We kind of had a lot of weakness throughout the day on the Canadian dollar. And yeah, maybe someone knew something. Strength in the Canadian dollar, weakness in the dollar CAD. Someone knew something perhaps about this data ahead of time, which is why we had that spike down. It kind of took it back to where we were. And only the second wave is starting to really make a difference. So not the easiest one to trade if you were hitting the figure. But yeah, nevertheless, it has been a hell of a day for the dollar CAD market. I said we'll have a look at some of the other markets we were talking about this morning. So perhaps let's talk about the FTSE. Well, in fact, what I really want to focus on, given we're so close to the open, is the S&Ps. So if we take a look at a daily chart on the S&Ps, those of you who know as well, option expiry was Friday. So this is often a tipping point of the market, and having seen a rally up for a month or so in the S&P, we're very much on the bearish foot the last couple of days. This one, we kind of just rallied back up into a high volume node yesterday before rejecting it. And we're already starting pretty aggressively down ahead of the open on the S&P. I mean, they're not down on huge numbers, only down 0.25%, but you look at this price action, they started to get pretty giddy with the selling ahead of the open as we approach it 2 minutes from now. Where you're going to get short this market remains to be seen. My view is we are potentially going to see these markets sell off a bit more on the option flows. We do have this is not a true gap between Thursday and Friday on the S&P, but the S&P futures contract rolled over on that day. So there is effectively a gap on this chart, which might take it 30 ticks lower. This takes it to a high volume node from last year as well. So yeah, just north of 30 ticks lower. I would like to try and get on spikes though, or even just a retrace of sorts. Let's see if we can get some sort of green on the screen in that first 5 minutes of play. Then perhaps we'll see an opportunity to get short this market. We do have the Fed meeting starting today. It's a 2-day meeting always, but the announcement obviously is tomorrow night. So if you do want to join us on that, we'll be sending links out to all of our traders and students. Plus, yeah, if you are watching this for the first time, yeah, maybe find us on Instagram, drop us a message, and we'll probably get to you if you're. Yeah, we do a live Zoom through the Fed itself. So yeah, from 7:30 tomorrow. I've already got my eyes on this. You can tell, right? 7 o'clock tomorrow. We got the rate decision along with the economic projections. This is where you get the dot plot as well. So this makes it a more interesting. One in two of these rate decisions have the economic projection and dot plot. So that's going to make 7 o'clock more interesting than last time and the next time. But as always, the press conference is where I'll be most interested. Powell has a tendency to do some pretty nice patterns in these markets that are fairly repeatable. You just got to kind of believe in them. So let's see if he can do the same sort of thing for us again. Always volatile after 7:30 on Fed night. So yeah, this tends to be, I think, the time when this office makes the most money. Hopefully you can come and join us tomorrow. Okay, with 6 seconds to go, let's take a look at the market. Still very, very weak into the open. Really want to see a retrace, maybe up to 96s on the S&P. See if we can see some sort of push higher. And let's maybe focus on the S&Ps a little bit on this one. We get the ES contract up. See what's going on inside. Yeah, so this is kind of used for confirmation. If you can see some key levels being touched and then a rejection, this is kind of what happened this morning. On the gold market, we sold down. Bring this up while we're talking about it. Gold this morning was pretty nice on the open, just retagging that value area high for the week. We have a big turn in the volume at this point as well. And yeah, this led to what was quite a nice move up. Didn't quite get to those levels, but this is the open at 120 in gold as well. Those of you aren't familiar with gold, so yeah, you don't really want to be holding things into the open in the same way that you don't want to be doing that with the S&P either. But S&P on the back foot already. Are we going to struggle to get into rallies on this? Is it just going to be one of those straight line downs? Looks that way so far on the Nasdaq, at least, off 30 points or so in the first minute and a half of trade, but there is hope we can get some better entry out of it. Very keen to see it around this 95, 96. Tomorrow, markets might be slightly lower on volume as we approach this time of the day, because the market will have so much of their eyes on the Fed. So my view on the option expiry is this is maybe the last day to trade with that particular momentum, and then the Fed will probably decide which way this market wants to go. If they're neutral, I still feel like we're probably going to see more downside on indices. We did have a nice little pump up into the option expiry. Yeah, from the options in option expiry in August all the way to the highs of the option expiry in September. Then yeah, this can be sort of action you want to see if you are going to see a deeper correction, perhaps something down towards the kind of low area of this volume that we've been trading in for well, feels like most of the year now, right? Since June at least, we haven't spent too many days outside of this range. So yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise to go test the downside on this at some stage if the market continues on that trajectory. Back to the US markets, we had a little nudge higher into the high volume value low for the week on the S&Ps. Dow's the one that's providing the biggest amount of strength so far. Again, into the value area low for day and week simultaneously, so there's a little bit of confidence there on the Dow. But yeah, I'm hopeful we can maybe get something a little bit more aggressive. Nasdaq has actually done quite a nice turnaround there. We're back to flat on the day, having been that 30 or so points lower. So perhaps this is going to be the opportunity to see a bit of move. Don't forget these time prints as well. These half past the hour, at the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour. Yeah, the o'clocks and 30 minutes are pretty good times to be trading. We've had quite a lot of good turns in the markets the last few weeks at those sort of time prints. So yeah, that 3 o'clock might be the opportunity which I'm looking for after the madness of the first few minutes. Yeah, do join us tomorrow. Neil will be back on the Zooms from 7:50. Catch us on the discussion group in the meantime. Yeah, get yourself prepared for tomorrow night. Should be a banger.